Hi. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Well, thank you for joining today's session on Max. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Elliott, and I'm one of the account managers at Affinity, and I've been with Affinity for just over 5 years now. And for the past 2 years, we've been working with Viv and the IT trainer to just provide the best possible 365 training we can to our clients. So for anyone who doesn't know Affinity, we're an IT support, telecoms, and electrical provider based in Sheffield. Primarily work on remote and on-site IT services, and then all the hardware and software that involves. For the telecoms, mainly just phone lines and broadband, mobile contracts and phone systems. And then electrical, we've got a sister company who get involved in CCTV, PAT testing, EV charge points, and LED light installation. So if anyone's got any questions about any of that or anything more about the partnership we've got with the IT trainer, then feel free to stick around at the end, and I'll stick around for any questions or anything. So without any further ado, I will pass you across to Viv, and we'll get started.
Yep, good morning. Obviously, with 30 minutes or 29 minutes here, we don't have an awful lot of time necessarily. What I'll try to do is finish 3 or 4 minutes before the end so that we can answer any specific questions. In the meantime, obviously, if you don't know Teams, I'm just about to share my screen here, but we can actually make use of the chat feature and the conversation feature. I won't be actually using that throughout because I'll just keep focused on my presentation. If Elliott can, he will respond to any questions that he can. And other than that, we will get to the questions at the end and hopefully cover that. IT trainer, we do training, and I spend an awful lot of time in 365. That'll do at the minute for us. So it's taken a little bit longer. I think it's eventually coming up on the share feature. People should be able to see my screen now. And if you don't know, and I know we've all been remotely, but if you're using other tools, the chat button is here for the conversation, and we'll also admit the other person coming into the lobby. And obviously that means that Teams itself is changing a lot and has changed a lot in the last year. As we come through this morning, what we're actually going to do is we're going to bring it to a point where we talk about the planner's integration into Teams, because the whole point of a lot of Teams is that it becomes a source of what you can do for cooperation and collaboration. So if you haven't been to Planner before, if you're not really sure where to get it, if you log on to your Microsoft Office portal, which is office.com, then you sign in with your username and your password. And then down the side, if your license allows it, but most licenses, all the business ones, all the enterprise ones, they all have Planner as part of it. It's down here. It's a Gaban style planner. If you don't see it initially on your list, click on the grid up here and it should be under all of your apps. So if I click on it, it opens in a new tab, usually. I've got one open here as well. Planner is available on your web. It's not a desktop application, but it is also available on a mobile or tablet. So you can go to the App Store of Android or Apple, and you can decide to download this app. And basically, it's similar to things like Trello. It's similar to things like Monday.com. I don't have an awful lot of experience in those apps, but I do think the Planner's probably a little bit behind on them because it's one extra application within it. But let me have a quick look around at what we've got here. I've got a few ones. These ones are all demo sort of ones. This is your Planner Hub. On your Planner Hub, you get to see all of the plans that you have access to. Here we can create a new plan. Now, one thing when we talk about creating a new plans, it's just talking a little bit about the Microsoft 365 infrastructure. Microsoft 365 uses Microsoft groups. Teams use them. So when you create a new team in Microsoft, you create a Microsoft 365 group. That group has a shared mailbox, a shared calendar, a shared notebook. It also has a shared space where it stores files, which is SharePoint, and a group of people. So a planner does the same thing. If you go to create a plan in Microsoft Planner, let's just call new planner plan, or just new planner for April. This will ask you, do you want to add it to an existing group, or do you want to create a new group? If you create a new group, you can add people to it. Otherwise, if you add it to an existing group, like an existing team, everybody who has access to that team now has access to your planner. So we can go down here and put more information on it. I'm not going to make it public. I'm going to make it private, and then I can add it to one of my teams. So let's just add it to our demo team and create a new plan. And suddenly, anybody who's part of that demo team is now part of this plan. We can add extra. It adds them to the group and adds them to everything. Simple enough. You start with a to-do list up here. You can change your image. So it always starts with to do. You could get rid of this, because if you don't want, you could rename it, you can delete it. And it's as simple as you click to add a task. Now let's add a few tasks, and then we'll talk about the other things you can do with this. So new task added. We can set a due date, as any of these sort of applications do, and then we can assign it. So when we can assign it to people within this group. So you can't assign it outside the group. So people have to be added to this group to be assigned. You can invite external people to it. So external people don't have to be part of, you can use Planner with people that are not part of your Microsoft 365 environment, invite them in like you would invite them into Teams. So I'm going to assign this to Andy. He's going to get a few assigns today, and I'm going to add the task. Simple enough. I can add more. However, we can assign it to a number of people if we wanted to. We can go into the task itself, and this becomes a little bit more like your Kanban style planner, because you can choose what bucket it goes in. You can choose whether it's started, in progress, or complete. You can choose your priority. A lot of these a lot of time you don't necessarily touch. You can put a start date if you wanted to, and that means that you can then start playing around with how long something takes, how long a project takes, how long a step took. We can add notes to it, notes for the item. Down here, we can add checklist items. You can have 20 checklist items in a single task here. So checklist item 1, and 2, etc., etc. So this means as you go through it, people can mark part of it off. So I'm going to choose which one to show on the card, because if you say you're not using checklists, you could use the notes on your card. Say if you're not, you can actually put your comments in as well, adding comments to this. Now, the interesting thing when you add comments to this and hit enter, it actually, you can send the comments, and it goes to both the person who owns the plan and the person that is allocated to. And then you can add attachments. So you can add a file, you can add a link to somewhere, or you can add something in your SharePoint. So if you click that, the item is stored already in the SharePoint of this team. So we can do all of that in any tag. Another thing they've done here is labels. So if you use labels in Outlook, I just suddenly forgot the name of what they're called in Outlook. You can do the same here. They've now upped it to 20 different colors of labels, and you can edit each of these. So let's say that this is sales, and we choose that sales is the pink color. Don't know if Elliott can let people in, so I'm just going to come back and do that. Apologies. I need to make sure I'll set this up right next time. And I'm just going to add another checklist item in, checklist 2. And we will just do that. So here we go. We've got a lovely little task added. Obviously, I can add more tasks. I can add a new bucket. So let's do that. This is development. And under the new bucket, you can have this, and you can allocate more people. So I'm not going to go to town on adding more information to this planner, because let's be honest, adding tasks and all of that is what you can do yourself. You can mark things off on your checklist. You can mark things off as the task itself. Under the 3 dots, and every time you're in Microsoft, if you see 3 dots, the ellipses, that means there are more options available. You can actually do quick management of this. So you can label something quickly. So you can have multiple labels attached to something. You can assign it. If you need to copy it to make it similar, you can copy. You can copy a link to it to paste into a chat or into an email. You can move it to a new part. But I wouldn't necessarily move them. If I wanted to move that, I can just drag and drop it into a new bucket. Some things then you can do with this. I will add one more task because I want to show, and I'm going to set a due date of this one there, and I'm going to assign that to trainer, and I'm just going to add that as another task. And the reason I want to do that is then we start looking at things like charts. Let's go back to the board, drag this one over to the to-do list, and we go to charts. Now, charts gives us a different notification of stuff. It tells us that there's 2 tasks to do here. None of them are started, which ones are in progress, which ones are late, which ones are completed. So that's a really useful, it uses Power BI to do this, which priorities they are, who are members of the team, and how many tasks are assigned to them. And you can drill down in each of them by clicking on them. So anytime you want to, you can actually click on it, and that will bring you back and give you information on them. Over here, you can add tasks itself, and you can move them around, and you can see them in grouped order. Then you've got the option to have a schedule. If you have a schedule, it shows them on a calendar. So this has given us the option to be able to see things on a calendar. This one here has a start and a finish time, so therefore it shows both. The next one has just got a finish date, so it just shows as a new task. And again, over here, it's got them, which items are in to do, which items are in development, which items are in this. This is unscheduled. So this one here says you haven't scheduled these tasks. So if you've got tasks in with no schedule, you could then drag them into your calendar. So that's possible. We'll come back to this three dots here and show you more options around this in a few seconds. Under here, we've got members. This is where you can add extra members to your team. This is where you can see who they are. Under filter, this is where it starts to become a little bit more powerful. You can actually do different filters. So you can filter by time, and that's one that people will use quite a lot. Things that are due, with things that are late, things that are overdue, things that are due this week, next week. You can filter by priority. You can filter by labels as well. So everything to do with that label. You can filter by who they're assigned to. You can filter by bucket. So you can actually, if you've got a massive plan going on, you can set up and change and do lots and lots of different filters. Let's pop back to the board. At the minute, this is grouped by bucket. So this, you can actually group it by assigned to. So it's like a group by, obviously. Group by progress, so they're not started. Group by due date. So again, next week, future, it breaks it up like that. Group by labels. And then finally, you can group by the priority of them as well. So, and in every of these cases, when they're grouped like this, you can drag them back and forward, move them, mark them off, check them as done, see them as completed. Let's have a look at the three dots then, because here we've got the option to look at the conversation around this. So that's, as you see, this is the whole idea of the Microsoft 365 group. So 365 group's got a shared conversation, usually in Teams, a shared member list, as we've seen, shared files. So anything that's attached into this team under any of the tasks come up under files, a shared notebook, and the site for it. But you can add this to your favorites. You can copy the plan. You can export it to Excel. Now that's rather useful. If you need to break this down and you don't want to share it out, you can put it into an Excel sheet and share it out that way. You can copy a link to the plan. You can add the plan to your Outlook calendar. So you can take the calendar and you can actually have it in your Outlook calendar and see what's coming up through your Outlook calendar. Plan settings allows you to do a few more. One of the things that they've added recently is given the ability to put little backgrounds on. It's nice. It does give it a little bit of color. Under group, we can actually change the details of it. And under notifications, you can decide when you want to actually be notified by Microsoft, all to do with the plan. Because here we see emails always sent to the group when a comment is made on a task. So you can actually send an email when it's assigned or completed. And you can have planner send when somebody assigns a task or when something's due or overdue. So beyond that, it's a matter of building up your tasks. It's a matter of building up your planner tasks and giving people access to these planner tasks. And that's what you get here. Over in this side as well, and by the way, if you don't have, you can click Get the Planner app and it will direct you to the app stores. Over here as well, you've got an option to choose My Tasks. Now, My Tasks, I've got a whole lot here because I've done this a few times in planning. My Tasks give me everything to do with just me. So this is not the stuff that I will see in each of these plans. So if I was working on this, I could go into each of those plans individually. I could update them. I could see the progress on them. I could filter, group, whatever I need to do. This one actually shows you my tasks. Now I have nothing, so I'm going to move this over to in progress. I don't think I can drag them here. No, I have to actually mark it in process. So let's actually do this and mark it in progress and go out of it, and it'll automatically, oh, it did move it, move 2 over to here, and I've now got 2 items in progress. And if I mark something as completed, it will move over to the completed column. So I don't need to do that because I could actually just check that box to mark it as completed. And then I can see which items I've got not started, which items I've got in progress, and which items I've completed. And I can group my items, and I can group and filter my items. So I could group this by which plan they're in. I can group it by due date and by priority. And I can do the same for filter. So if I need to focus on stuff, I can see what's coming up next week, what's late, what's overdue. So if I look at late, pretty much everything's late because these were demo ones. And again, just a simple matter of clearing that. And in this case, I can take that, add my tasks to my Outlook calendar. So it takes my tasks and puts them into my Outlook automatically into my calendar. And I can put it in schedule mode as well. So this is all completely possible. This doesn't have a schedule on it. So this was the other calendar. I didn't do this deliberately. There was nothing showing as unscheduled. So I'm actually going to drag this in and I'm just going to drop it into a date. And it now puts that into a date and adds a date to the planner. So as you can see, there's multiple ways in and out of dealing with these items in Planner. So you've got your Planner Hub, you've got your plans here. You can mark them as favorite if you start to have lots. And then you've got your My Tasks area. How does this flow interact with everything else to do with Microsoft and especially in Teams? So let's pop back. We've got a demo sitting here in a Teams area. And to add a planner to a team, we go to the top plus button on a team, on a channel. And it used to be called Planner when you were in team, but it's now called Tasks by Planner and To Do, which is a big bit of a mouthful. And eventually they're going to drop the item that says by Planner and To Do. So it's just going to be called Tasks. So that's later on this year. And the reason for that is that it's now incorporating two things, and I'll explain that in a minute. But for getting Planner in a channel, you go to Tasks, and it says stay organized across all of your team and individual. So if you don't know how to get to it, if it's not showing, just go here and type Tasks, and then we can add this to the team. If you do it for the first time, it'll go through a little process like this. But this will ask us, do I want to start a new plan? Or do I want to look, it says, it'll actually tell me, I think, that there should be existing plans which are connected to this team. So creating a new plan here, I could give it a name. Or it says, looks like this team has existing plans. Please select an existing one. So this will create a brand new plan using these same people. So if it was a different team, you don't then have to add all the members to it. Or we can use an existing plan. And if we come down to existing, we can look at the ones that are here. So let's just take the one that we've just created. We can post to it or not, and we can hit save. So we've got two plans now at the top here. The one I had before and the one that I created a few minutes ago. So let's just hit the save button, and this should appear in a second when it decides to catch up on us along the top. One little thing to note while it's doing this is just to be, you cannot add a planner like this to a private channel because it uses Microsoft 365 Teams. If you wanted to add it to a private channel, what you would need to do is go back to your thing, go back to your web address, get the planner, and actually get the web address of the actual planner and put that web address or put the web address for planner into the private channel. And the reason to do with that is, without going any more technical than that, is all to do with the architecture of private channels within Teams. So you would just add it as a web page. If you don't know how to add something as a web page, let's just quickly show you. You go to the plus button and it allows you to catches up with me again. When I'm sharing the screen, sometimes it doesn't like to keep up to speed with what I'm trying to do in here. But you can actually add in a website, whether it's your website that somebody needs to get information from, whether it's a planner site, whether it's Google you could have in there. Not that I'd suggest you do that within Teams, but who knows. As you can see here, this planner's now here. We could pop this out. If we pop this out, it comes out as a separate tab. So we've actually got that sitting in Teams constantly. We can do the same as before. We can look at the boards. We can look at charts. So as we change those, it would change the layout of what this looks like. And we can look at the schedule view as well. So we've got 4 different views. We've got list, which is like that. So simple enough. And we can add a new task. And that looks very much like you would see in the lists app, but you can actually do it that way if it's much easier to see in your Teams environment. You can do it by board, as that's the standard look, and you can add buckets, you can mark things off, you can add things to it, and you've got all your filters here, and you've got all your groupings here as well. So that's your integration here. You can expand this tab to make it full screen. Most tabs now with Microsoft, you can do this, whether you're connecting to a SharePoint, whether you're connecting to an external source. Most of them now allow you to expand the tab to the full window, and most of them also allow you to pop it out. We can actually show the conversation around this tab as well. So this here, we've added this to the top, and we can say, hey, this is where we have started working on. Now that conversation comes in your posts. sorry, I just have to spell it right. It comes in your posts in your post channel here, so that people can have a conversation about that. Oh, is this, is that it? And it's entirely possible to do it here. And when you're in here, if you've anything in files, you can actually link them to tasks within your planner as well. Now, I did say I would talk to you about the reason why it's called tasks by planner and to do. Anything that you put here in a Teams channel is for the group to work on. But this doesn't have the option that you do have on the web page, whereas we got in the web page the option to look at my tasks. You don't have that option here. Where you've got that option is over here. Anything that's on this left panel in Teams is classed as your personal. So that's your personal chat, your access to it, your Teams, your calendar. And in this case, I've got a few extra ones. But if you need to, those 3 dots will usually have tasks on it. And if it doesn't, you can click on more apps and again, search for tasks and add it to your channel. So when I click on the tasks by planner and to do on this left-hand side, it opens up a similar looking window, but this window is saying that this is where I get access to my tasks. My tasks, the ones that are allocated to me, the ones that have been given to me. But not only that, we can see here, this is great, we got shared plans here, we can look at teams and we can look at them all. So I could go into each of these plans. So this is everything that's assigned to me, and I can look at all the active ones, all the completed ones, and I can filter. I can mark them as complete in my list. So it's an easy way for me to see everything. I can change the progress from the 3 dots to the side. I can change priority, change the due date, change the bucket, and I can delete them. So that's entirely possible from here. But not only does it do those, and I think the one that I put in the new one, I marked it as complete, so that's why it's not showing. I can look at planned as well, not only assigned to me, I can look at the priorities here. And on top of that, I can actually look at tasks and I can create ones here. Now, this does more than this, though. What Microsoft does with this is they have a new app. I don't know if anybody remembers an app called Wunderlist. Microsoft bought Wunderlist a few years ago, a mobile app, and they started to using it. And now what they've done is they've shut down Wunderlist because what they've done is they've taken everything from it and they've put it into an app called To Do. And To Do is your personal to-do list in Microsoft. So this is, again, an app that you can get on your phone. And I think eventually this is how they're going to replace tasks in Teams or tasks in Outlook. So if I open that, that would open my To Do app. This task by planner and To Do will show all of my items that I've put in my own to-do lists. So that's only visible to me. Anything that's I've put into planner, anything that's been allocated to me in planner. And it also highlights anything that I flagged or put in as a task in my Outlook. So what it's trying to be is one place to have all of that information. So final few things just to mention when we're doing this. Don't know why it's decided to ask me to sign in again, but a final few things to tell you about here. If you have done anything before with us or watched any of our videos or been in any of our training sessions, we've done a couple where we've touched on Automate. And Automate is the Microsoft process for creating workflows and doing activities. By the way, there we go. There's the to-do. And we can add things to it, assigned to me, flagged emails, tasks. All of these will then suddenly show in your task by planner and to-do. If you go to Automate, Automate works with everything within Microsoft, but it also works with external programs. If you want to, you can automate processes within your planner. So what I mean by that is you could have the response from a form come in, and you could take that response and create an item out of it in planner. You can also have it that when an item in a planner is marked as complete, it updates something, it informs somebody, it notifies somebody. So planner is integrated into the Automate. Now we do have a session on that from a few months ago that's on the YouTube channel. Planner or Automate's a little bit more, it's one of those rabbit holes that you could spend a long time doing. It does have some good templates though. So if you wanted to, you could go into that and you could see the templates available for planner. And in the templates available for planner, you're able to then add items to the plan or mark things as complete from the plan. And the last thing before we come back for any potential questions is this. If you've got Microsoft Project, if that's something that you use in your organization, in your business, or for some of your team to use, you can actually export and share a Gantt chart style plan with all the information, and you can actually link it to a planner. And so all the allocations that you do within your project, you can actually suddenly make tasks in the Kanban style sheet in your planner. So you can link your project, which is high level project management, with planner, which is more of an everyday use for all of your employees and comes as part of everybody's Microsoft 365 license. So that is entirely possible to do as well. So this takes you right from the idea of showing you items on this side, items that are marked as flagged items in your email, right through to be able to do planners and plans, right through to be able to take information and which is being shared with it from your Microsoft project. And there we go. I think I've pretty much covered everything. But if there's any questions, we'd willingly take them now. Or anything that you want covered or questioned or queried on that. I would suggest, if there's not, I would suggest that you go and play with it. And even the To-Do app, because it's quite useful for your own stuff. The To-Do app, as I said, comes that tasks by planner, and To-Do brings you anything that you've even flagged in your email. So it's a really good tool of bringing everything together into one place. Nothing? No questions? Anything in the chat? I don't think so. Or maybe there's something appeared now.
Hi, Viv. This is Greg here from Greg Westland from the Co-op. I've got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
There was I've lost it now, but there was an option to add the task to Outlook, I think, and I didn't seem to have that option. I just had leave task or leave tasks. I can't remember exactly. Any idea why that wouldn't be available?
If you're, I'm not sure, but if your infrastructure set up that you're still got an on-premise email server, it may have an impact on then connecting and allowing you connect into your Outlook. You can add the tasks on the personal level to your Outlook. Otherwise, you have to do it through. You can add tasks on this personal level on the cloud version of it. I'm trying to get back to all my screens because I moved away from them. But let's have a quick look back to that. And I see another question that came through there while we're loading this up. I have added people's projects to Planner before. Yeah, it's something that we can do. We can do full project sessions as well. It's possible to do. Yeah, just have a chat with Elliott if it's something that you need to sort out. But let's have I'm trying to get back to, as I said, when I'm using the share screen, it does take a little bit longer for things to load because it's also sharing, obviously, my screen. Thanks for those comments, people. But yeah, let's have a look. I think it was on the personal one where you can add it to my tasks. When you're on the calendar one, the main projects, it asks that you can share it to your calendar. And then you have to provide it an iCalendar link, and you get that iCalendar link to get in. So on your personal My Tasks, is this what you're talking? Do you have that when you choose My Tasks?
1 second. As My Task? No, I don't seem to have that. I don't know. Where was that option? Sorry.
It's under, if you're on the web page of it version, you've got New Plan, then you got Planner Hub, and then you've got My Tasks. Under the 3 dots of the ellipses, you can actually take My Tasks and connect them to your Outlook calendar. But that does rely on your Outlook being a 365 instance. So whether it's a hybrid on-premises 365 or whether it's a 365 only, it won't connect through if your Outlook is only on desktop.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anything else from anyone, or are we all good? Well, thank you very much for your time. We have come to the end of it. If there is anything else, you can then hang around, ask a question. We'll stop recording in a second. Thank you very much. We've more coming up. I'll pass back to Elliott, but we do one every month at the minute. So, and then we've got the YouTube as well. But Elliott, you can tell people about that.